Hello everybody, I hope that you're doing well today. Thought I'd be streaming a bit more Superman Returns, and mostly just talking about Superman. Mostly talking about the new movie actually, because I have now finally watched it. I waited until the digital release, and ultimately, I was kind of curious because I wasn't sure if, okay, so, online, people always say, oh, this movie's so good, you're gonna regret not seeing it in theaters, you're gonna, when I watched it, it just made me so happy I saw it on the big screen, or, whatever. You hear people say stuff like that. And I guess keep in mind, as a viewer of me, keep in mind that I am basically agoraphobic. So I hate crowds, I hate people. I don't hate people, but I prefer being around people as little as possible. Let's just say that. And so the idea of going to a theater, even for Superman, was really difficult, and I really wanted to see it. But there's so many factors that go into a movie theater that's just beyond seeing the movie, So many things. I'm sure that could be my anxiety talking, but at the same time, I've been to the theater enough times to know that is just the fact, There's a certain level of unpredictability in the theater. Anyway, I'm going to stop my rant about the theater. I'm very, very glad that I waited until digital. Man, it was so good. I'm gonna obviously get into a little bit more detail about it, but man, the ability to watch at my own pace, which isn't that different from the intended pace, but for example, there were times where I paused the movie to do whatever, That convenience is so worth it for me. And honestly, watching the movie, I did not have that feeling at all of man, I wish I watched this in theaters. If anything, was just man, I'm glad I waited. And so it was nice. But yes, to get into the thoughts a little bit on the movie, I might make a review video or something down the line. But I don't know. As of right now, as of August 2025, you can probably just count this as my Superman review for now. I'm not going to get into huge detail. Also because I'm playing, so I'm kind of multitasking. Oh, I just injured that civilian. Oh, he's fine. Okay. So, the movie, I mean, there's a lot to say about it, but I think bottom line is I really love the direction that it took. I love the comic book influences. Anytime that I can feel comic book influences in a comic book movie, I'm happy. And granted, comic book influence does not mean one thing. It does not mean one tone or one whatever. Comic books have many, many different vibes across the medium, depending on the writer. However, I have read comic books in the past, many comic books that felt very similar to how Superman 2025 felt, and it was great. I really love the setup. I heard, so another thing about me, I suppose, in case you guys are interested, I don't really care about spoilers. So I kind of knew everything that was going to happen in the movie, basically just by reading online and hearing people talk about the movie. I'm not affected by spoilers. I don't know. Spoilers never ruin anything for me. If anything, they just make me more excited to see the thing. Um, but anyway, it's like I, even going in knowing everything, like I still found myself properly thrilled and entertained all the way through. And then, yeah, I heard some people complaining about, different things. I've heard a lot of things. And, I think it's safe to say, like, Superman 2025, I think it is for everyone in the sake of, like, I think anyone could turn it on and get something good out of it, It's that type of movie that has so much good in it that it'd be hard to leave a viewing of that movie, without feeling something.
It's time to go back to the drawing board.
Unless you're heartless. But
my powers aren't having any effect on me.
I've mostly been hearing things about, like, the pacing, or people had some complaints about, like, the beginning, like, kind of the first half. I've heard that was kind of a common thing that I heard, was like, yeah, it takes a while to get into it, but the third act is good or whatever. But honestly, if anything, I might have found it the opposite way, but I think the whole way through I really enjoyed the story.
You're gonna love the view from 6 feet under.
Yeah, I don't want to get too heavy into, like, spoilers or anything, getting details into the plot, but overall I felt like it represented everything that I felt needed to be shown. To show an audience, to show the world who Superman is, I think it really did a proper good job. And honestly, it is the best Superman movie I've seen so far, which, isn't saying so much. I don't know. It depends on if you're a fan of Superman or not. I like Man of Steel. I don't think it's perfect, though. What is perfect about Man of Steel is Hans Zimmer's score. If you put Hans Zimmer's soundtrack over the new Superman, I mean, it's basically perfect. Not to say that the new score isn't good, but, Hans Zimmer just has that extra magic. But either way, Man of Steel was fun enough. It was good enough, especially at the time that it came out. I remember liking it a lot more, but I watched it kind of recently in preparation to watch the new Superman. And I found a lot of more kind of issues with with Man of Steel than I had previously kind of remembered, like pacing issues, for example. I do think Man of Steel does go on very long and has multiple moments where they kind of say the same thing over and over. They kind of over-explain, and there's a lot of flashbacks. So, stuff like that, in my opinion, does drive pacing down. Where I think when people are talking about the pacing for Superman, I think they're just talking about how, like, it takes a while, or maybe not even a while. It takes probably about a good 40 minutes to
if only you would use your abilities for
set
good,
up the feel of everything. But that's also Man of Steel. When I was watching with my sister, because that's also like who I was rewatching the film with. I forget what moment it was. There was a moment where Kelsey, my sister, was like, "Okay, pause the movie here," and it was like I think it was at the point where, like, Zod really became, like, came to Earth.
No chance.
But yeah, it might not have been that moment, but either way, it was basically when the plot started to really get going in Man of Steel, and it was about an hour and 20 into the movie, and it was like, man, there's already been a whole movie up to this point before the real action starts. the new Superman, in my opinion, does not suffer that same issue. But again, this is all personal opinion. Anyone watching this video is valid in having their own opinion. I'm just a person on the internet. But I think if you haven't seen the new Superman, and if you're holding out for someone to tell you that it's really good, I loved it. I enjoyed, I'd say, about 90% of it, which is, in my opinion, a very good score. I mean, that's like an A minus. And I'd say, like, so for example, let's say, I give an A minus 90% to this new Superman. I'd say for Man of Steel, I'd probably give it about a 70%. I think I enjoyed roughly 70% of what Man of Steel did. Which I also think is not a bad score. It's a bit more average. But I could watch Man of Steel and not, like, hate my life. Where there are some movies where I would just have a much less pleasurable experience watching the film. Man of Steel does have good ideas. It has, obviously, the really good music by Hans. But it also has some good story moments, some good writing moments. It's got good visuals. I'd say, if anything, for Zack Snyder, it's like his biggest strength is his visuals. Which is fair. I mean, like, you can't deny that, man. He might not know how to tell a story that well, but he knows how to use a camera.
Hold on.
And there are many things, actually, within Man of Steel, filmmaking-wise, that I probably would say I like better than what James Gunn did, even though I say that, though, James really did a fantastic job with the filmmaking. And there were a lot of moments that I was genuinely impressed with what, was being achieved on screen, which is what you want to see in a superhero movie. James Gunn, I'm not trying to talk him up too much, but he is currently one of my favorite, if not my favorite, comic book director.
Don't worry. I've got you.
Guardians, there's no fire truck around here. Where am I supposed to put this person? I guess I'll just put him up here. There you go. See ya. So James, in terms of Guardians, I watched the first Guardians when I was, let's see, how old was I? I was 13, which is kind of nuts thinking about. I'm 24 now. But anyway, I watched Guardians 1 when I was 13, and it, kind of changed my life. Like, it's not to, well, I don't know, it did. It did. I really love the first Guardians movie. I love all of them, but specifically the first one just, it holds that special place in my heart. And I, still thinking back to that opening. I mean, yeah, the opening of Guardians 1, I think, alone, kind of, that, from literally the first second of that film, I knew that I loved it, and I knew that it was different from other Marvel movies, which was a huge breath of fresh air. And Guardians 2 hits a very special place in my heart, especially with the father storyline. Suffice to say, my father and I don't have a good relationship. And in a way, Guardians 2 is actually a pretty good representation of my relationship with my father. So, you know, I also have that. And then, of course, Guardians 3. I mean, that movie made me cry. And in some ways, it's the hardest one to watch because of those moments that make me cry. But at the same time, I mean, it is so good. If I'm scoring those movies the same way that I scored Superman, so I gave Superman a 90% A-. I would say Guardians 1, I enjoyed like 98% of it, 99% of it probably like A+. Guardians 2, I enjoyed about 90% of it, maybe about like 80, 89 or something. So like A- for that, maybe B+. But I'm more kind of thinking A- range. And then Guardians 3, I would honestly. Now, granted, Guardians 3 is the one I've seen the least because of the sad parts. But I enjoyed probably about like 97, 98% of that one as well. I think that in some ways Guardians 3 is on a very similar level to the first one. So if that says anything to you about, how I feel about those James Gunn movies, I think that it probably does explain, why I'm such a fan of Superman. But yeah, I don't think that Superman is his best film in terms of, the films that I've seen from James. There are other films that he's made that I've connected with more, or that I thought are more entertaining to some extent. Superman is incredibly entertaining, so don't get it twisted that the new Superman movie is boring really at any point, because I would say, like,
Gotcha.
At what point is it boring? But with with James's other movies, honestly, I do think, like, probably I would say that his Suicide Squad movie from 2021, I believe that's when it came out, 2021. But yeah, The Suicide Squad, that one is a near 10 for me as well. I would say, like, probably I enjoyed, like, 90, 97. That's, I don't know, like a pretty average score seemingly for these movies that I'm giving. But, like, at the same time, they do all kind of hit on a near perfect level for me. The things that bring the new Superman down for me are ultimately writing issues. There's maybe some certain scenes that I felt like could have been directed slightly differently. But that's all. It kind of gets nitpicky, which it's good when it gets to that point, because that means that ultimately the film didn't have any glaring maybe is the word, but the film didn't have that many issues that needed to be addressed. So nitpicking is a good thing. Anyway, come on. There were a couple scenes that I thought, could have been done slightly better. And also, certain times the edit felt slightly like there was something off. Sometimes I felt like scenes went a little too fast. Sometimes I felt like there were moments that needed a little bit more of that stillness. And, that is one thing that is pretty common with James, is that he seems to cut out a lot of those quiet parts, which, is fine most of the time, but also it's nice to bring a little bit of balance into your script and into your characters that allow them to express themselves in a multitude of ways. So I always end up back to Harry Potter for some reason. But, you know, like, anyone who's seen the first Harry Potter film, and, you know, any Harry Potter film, I guess, but specifically Sorcerer's Stone in this case, that makes a point to have, you know, a wide range of moments for the character to ultimately, you know, live with, I suppose. Maybe that's not the right term,
Hope
but
you're
like,
not afraid of heights.
you know, Harry Potter has a lot of moments where the characters are talking excitedly, blah blah blah, things are moving fast, you know. It's got those moments, but it's also got moments where Harry is just sitting alone, you know, in the window with Hedwig, or out in the snow, but it's just Harry. You know, like, those types of things where the music can just kind of swell and show you that this character, you know, while also being, you know, a prominent figure in their world, and Harry deals with so much on a level where, like, I could see those stories being edited in a way that makes me feel like, you know, things are moving so fast. But you know, they've always made a point to show Harry's isolation, and it's not even isolation really. It is in terms of Superman. I don't think that you need to show Superman being super isolated. Man of Steel kind of did that. But I think what you do need to show is reflection, and we kind of only got one moment of that with the new Superman. And even then, it's a pretty short scene that, like, you kind of, you know, they say the lines in it, and the scene drives forward, but, like, there's not a lot of stillness that would have been offered in that moment, if that makes sense. I guess I suppose I'll just say what scene I'm talking about so that nobody's super confused. But, like, I'm talking about the scene where Clark visits his home, or goes home. So he's sitting on a bench outside in the sun. It's a beautiful shot, really. We see Crypto playing with the cows. But yeah, there's ultimately that scene is really good. It's him talking to Pa Kent, and Pa Kent is simply just showing him his love that he still has for his son, basically, and showing him that, you know, not all hope is lost. And I think that is a very beautiful moment. But we kind of get that conversation, and then we kind of move on, you know? Where, like, that could have been a really good moment for just a couple seconds of just sitting there. Does that make sense? Oops, wrong person. If it doesn't make sense, tell me in the comments. No, don't tell me. I don't want to have a conversation about that. No, for real, that is kind of most of, in terms of when I talk about things that I, like, quote unquote, didn't like in the movie, that is kind of it. Is, like, just, you know, small things that I feel like, you know, if I had control, I probably would have done it differently, blah blah blah. Not to make it all about me, of course, but at the same time, you know, when you are an artist or a writer, like, it's never wrong to feel like I would have done it this way, because that's just showing that you have the capability to do it. And, like, sure, you could be underestimating how hard it is. Like, making a Superman movie is not easy in slightest. It's one of the hardest jobs in the industry, and I do think, honestly, that is one reason why filmmakers have tried to, and studios have stayed away from Superman, because he's not the easiest to get right, and then even if you do get him right, that doesn't mean that he's the most marketable to everybody. That's just how it is. That's what art is, you know? Art isn't meant to be marketable to everybody. And if it is, then it's like the art equivalent of McDonald's, you know? Like, sure, McDonald's can be marketed to basically everybody, but like, at what cost? I know I'm pretty ranty on this one, but you know, this is also just me talking about movies, so I get pretty ranty when I talk about movies. I'm much more chill when it comes to video games, but I'm picky with movies, and I usually have a lot to say. So I guess you're getting a glimpse of that. But you know, I think that ultimately I would call this new Superman film a complete triumph, and again, I would say it's probably his best film in terms of the character. It's probably the best Superman film. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, it's hard to think of like anything to like warn anybody about. It's a good time. If you like superheroes, you'll probably love it.
You're gonna conquer the world with this?
Unless you don't like
the technology
hope
of Krypton, Superman's home world, was based
or
on
good vibes,
manipulating the growth
then
of crystals.
that might not be for you.
Cities, vehicles, weapons, entire continents, all grown.
To think one could create a new world with such a simple little object.
Did this happen in the movie? I don't remember. This game ultimately has so many things that are not in the movie that it's hard to remember what is supposed to be from it. Because in terms of when I think of Superman Returns, I think of the plane catch. I think of him and Lois being broken up and sad, / Lois having a son, and she's with the guy, James Marsden. Whoa, that's a odd glitch. Anyway, you know, James Marsden gets cuckolded, and Superman is sad, but he catches a plane, and he takes a gunshot to the eyeball, which is pretty cool. And then, from what I remember, Kevin Spacey shows up, and something about a wig, like where he's wearing a wig, but then it's revealed that he's bald. I don't remember. There's something about that, and then something about kryptonite, and then Superman getting beat up with kryptonite, and then something about Superman having a son. That's all I remember from Superman Returns. It's kind of weird though, like, were they planning on making sequels to Superman Returns? Because it almost doesn't feel like it was set up to be that way. It feels like it was set up to be, in some ways, like a finale to the Christopher Reeves ones, but also kind of not. Ultimately, Bryan Singer was probably not the best choice for director, for multiple reasons, because he's also, as we know, Predator. I shouldn't laugh about that. I promise I'm not laughing at him being a Predator. I'm more just laughing because, I don't know, it's terrible. Bryan Singer is another example, though, of one of those artists that it's like definitely you know, everyone should be holding him to be accountable for his predatory behavior. But does that mean that people can't love X-Men? No. People can still love X-Men. They just can say, yeah, the director is kind of a piece of crap. Not kind of, though. He is a piece of crap. Also, not to bring down the mood, but I might as well mention it since I'm talking about Bryan Singer. He put known predators, known child predators, let's say that, into X-Men. So that's another thing that just kind of sucks. Because, like, there's at least one child predator that cameos into X-Men. So ultimately it just shows, like, don't hire predators. Didn't think I'd have to say that one. Not to bring down the mood anymore, but I do just have one more thing to say on that subject of whole predatory artists, all those things. So, you know, I really enjoy James Gunn's movies. I really enjoy Guardians, blah blah blah, Superman. I'm excited for the DC universe. But I'm also holding space that, like, yeah, James Gunn could be a bad person. I mean, like, from what we know about James, it's not all perfect. Like, from what is publicly known, it's not perfect. So I can't imagine the stuff that is being hidden. But at the same time, the true answer to this conundrum of what do I do when I think that someone that I, you know, respect, or not even respect, like, what do I do when I enjoy someone's work, even if they might be a bad person? It's just like, you can still enjoy the work, but just don't try to, like, project your goodness. Jeez! He's tearing up the city. A lot of people project their own ideas of goodness and of purity onto other people, especially celebrities. And it's like, celebrities are the people that you should be doing that to the least. You should not be giving your trust or your love to these people unless you really know them on that level, you know? I enjoy James Gunn, but I saw those tweets. We all saw those tweets. And yes, they are tweets from 2009, in 2009 humor. If anyone was alive back then and remembers 2009, / pre-2009, people joked about things on a way more casual level than people do now. So, you know, there's a level of, like, you can give someone a little bit of slack in some ways for tweets versus, like, if there was actual evidence of him being a predator, that would be different, you know. But the tweets are alarming, and so, you know, never praise somebody on a level that you don't know if you really should be praising somebody like that. That's all I have to say. James Gunn is great in terms of his films, but you know, if I met him, there's a good chance that I wouldn't like him for reasons as well that are just, you know, energy, just vibes. But at the same time, it's like, there's no guarantee that like your heroes are going to be cool. There's a lot of things about James that I've noticed that are narcissistic qualities, but that's also incredibly common with artists, to the point where it's like, I don't know, you can always take that into account that someone is a narcissist and they're an artist, but at the same time, like, holding it against them might be a little bit foolish, because that's kind of just, you know, Clayface in the Harley Quinn series has a really good line where he talks to King Shark and he kind of whispers to him and he's like, all thespians are vain. And then King Shark is like, you're kidding. But it's true. You know? Vanity runs deep in that industry. Along with much worse things.
Hello. I'm a little shaky.
I like being able to save the civilians like this. It of course reminds me of
Good day.
you know, the early Spider-Man games and stuff, but it just feels nice to be able to go and pick somebody up that needs help.
Up we go.
Whoops, not you.
You did it, Superman. Hello.
There we are. Okay.
Got you.
But yeah, saving people like this in some ways feels the most like Superman. Oh. Okay, didn't mean to destroy that. Can I pick this person up or not? It won't let me. Oh god. Help is on the way, dear. Oh, there we go.
Thanks. I think I'm fine.
Easy peasy. Now, I could have sworn that there was a mission for me beyond the yellow marker. I could have sworn that there was one at the Daily Planet, but I could be wrong. Or maybe it disappeared. I like that one.
My powers aren't having any effect on him. I need a different strategy. Don't worry. I've got you.
Man, I want a new Superman game so bad. If anything, in terms of like, you know how I said earlier that like, I was wondering if I would feel that pull to the wanting to watch it in the theater. I didn't feel the theater pull, but I did feel the desire, the wish for, you know, a new Superman game. Like, pretty much, like, that's kind of what I was feeling during the majority of the movie. It was just like, man, I wish I could be playing a new Superman game right now. Especially David Kortzweit's Superman just kind of felt to me like he would just work so well within a video game. I don't know, the way that he looks and the way that he is shown to fight and move and everything, all those things. It just was really giving me strong vibes of like, we need a new game. And it does seem like there's going to be some possibly good news regarding that. I know that James Gunn did say recently that they will be, or that they are working on one or possibly multiple video games at the moment. And I think he also mentioned that David will be voicing Superman for something video game related, which is exciting. I hope that, you know, in regards to that, I would want to be able to play as Superman. Like, I don't know. There's been so many games in my lifetime where, like, Superman is there or on the periphery or whatever, and, you know, some games like Lego, for example, that lets you play as Superman, and it's kind of like this. If anything, Lego is the best DC type of video game that we've gotten, besides like the Arkham games, in the past 20 years or so. Speaking of Lego, I'm sure some people have heard about this already, but they announced a new Lego Batman game, Legacy of the Dark Knight, I think the title is called. And it looks pretty good. It looks like they're doing Arkham-style gameplay, which is great. Honestly, Arkham kind of perfected the Batman gameplay system. Like, honestly, I'm up for more Batman games, and I'm up for stuff that is set like outside of the Arkham universe. Like, for example, Gotham Knights. While Gotham Knights was not perfect for many, many reasons, I also enjoyed Gotham Knights enough, and I enjoyed the different interpretations of the characters enough. But, you know, if we were to get more Batman that wasn't Arkham, I would probably still wish / want for the Arkham combat to just, like, you know, be brought over, basically. I just, there's not really many better ways to adapt Batman's combat and his style. Like, Gotham Knights did kind of prove that, of, like, ultimately the combat felt worse in Gotham Knights because they decided to go a different route. And it wasn't as satisfying, it wasn't as crunchy or dynamic, and there's multiple reasons why it felt that way for Gotham Knights that are beyond just the combat system, if that makes sense. But even still, the Arkham combat system is so good that, you know, I can see why Lego Batman is embracing that. And honestly, it's the way to go. If you're gonna make more Lego Batman, you know, do it in a more inspired and, I don't know if brave is the right word, but, you know, they're doing something a bit experimental, I would say, which is what we need in this world. But I'm excited for the new one. I'm probably going to start streaming Lego Batman, just, you know, for the fun of it. I'll probably start with the first one and move through all of them. I think I have all of them, including DC Supervillains, which I was actually playing DC Supervillains the other day, and it's really good. Way better than I even like remembered. Because like in my head, I was just kind of like, yeah, you know, it's like it was more Lego Batman and a lot of good characters. I liked the open world of DC Supervillains, but like playing it again, it's just like, man, they really like figured out how to I don't know, it's built off of their old type of gameplay, but it is just I guess it's very polished. That's kind of the only word that's really coming to mind. But it's true. Feels really good to play. There's a lot of Lego games that I like to stream. If not technically like all of them, more or less. I mean, not all of them, but I have a lot of them. I have Lego Star Wars, the old one and the new one. I have Lego Batman, Lego Marvel. I think I have all of the Marvel Lego. I have Lego Harry Potter, of course, and Lego Indiana Jones. Iconic. But yes, there's going to be a lot of Lego streaming to do in the future. Okay, let's get you somewhere safe. Man, the flying in this game does feel very good.
Hold on.
I wouldn't describe it as perfect, but maybe I would, oh gosh, maybe I would describe it as perfect for 2006. It's really good. I like it a lot. It feels good to fly. I imagine this is what flying would feel like, more or less. We did it! Okay. I guess I just have to keep doing these basically side missions. Or whatever, you know. I guess I have to keep fighting these crimes until the next thing shows up. I also don't have too much longer to be able to stream here. I'm probably going to be hopping off in about 10 minutes or so. But that'll be good. It'll have been about an hour. But yes, I think that, you know, I've kind of shared more or less my thoughts on Superman. I guess the only thing that I can really, or that I really want to say about Superman is just, I really love the characters, you know, all of them, pretty much. Lex, Nicholas Hoult as Lex. I wasn't sure, you know, when I heard the casting. Like, it's not that I wasn't sure, actually, because I knew that Nicholas Hoult had the acting chops, so to speak, to, you know, to pull it off. Nicholas Hoult is a very good actor, so I knew that he could do it, but I didn't know how he would do it, and man, he's perfect. He's just he nailed it. He nailed everything.
Did you think you could stop me so
In some ways, he
easily,
was the star
Superman?
for me, star of the film, and the other kind of show stealer performance for me was Mr. Terrific. And I
Come on,
can't think of
Superman.
the actor's name
Is that the
at
best
the
you've got?
moment, but he was also in X-Men First Class for a brief role. Ultimately, he played the coolest music,
My
and then
powers
was
aren't having any
killed off
effect on him.
for plot purposes, which is just unfortunate. But he also is the coolest character in Twilight. At least the first Twilight. Which, you know, I mentioned it, so I might as well get into it. Twilight 1 is good. I don't care what anyone says. It's not perfect, but it's good. And it has a vibe that you can really settle into, where the other films, in my opinion, other Twilight films, didn't really get there. Again, Twilight 1 feels like an independent film, which I think really helps it out. Really makes it feel, you know, even more like. Hey.
Time to die, Superman.
Basically, I don't want to keep talking about Twilight too much. If I had to say one good thing about Twilight, though, besides the actor that plays Mr. Terrific, because that actor and that character in Twilight is actually pretty cool. Anyway, the good thing that Twilight really gets right, though, is the feeling of the school, the teenagers. Like, Bella's
Clever inventions,
friends that are
Metallica,
kind of
But
stupid
it's time to go back to the
are
drawing
so real to me. It's stupid, but it's real. And
You're gonna love the view from 6 feet under.
none of the other films really got that. But there's so many moments with her friends that it's like, man, that feels real. Which is funny that like the side characters of Twilight ended up stealing the show for me, but like that's how it is. Alright, I gotta beat Metallo. Walking around with this kryptonite field.
Let's just skip the formalities. Admit defeat.
We're gonna die, Superman!
Where's the other one? I'm probably gonna fail this because the city is getting destroyed right now. Also, they're just like way out of the way. He's over a mountain. How am I supposed to reach that easily? I mean, I'm Superman, but if I was any other character.
You'll be back on the scrap heap soon enough, Metallo.
Yeah, we'll see if this is gonna work or not.
You're definitely not made of precious metal, Metallo.
Walks around with that kryptonite field. Ah, that's unfortunate. We'll have to try again. But yes, Mr. Terrific. He was terrific. It's a little bit annoying that you have to kind of wait for these missions to pop up. There we go. I'm trapped. Man, they really made it far away.
Come on, Superman. Let's see.
Where is it? Okay, got one more. Okay.
Your day has come, Metallo.
He just packed quite a punch. So what happened?
Why isn't this working?
I gotta chase these guys down again.
Did you think you could stop me so easily, Superman?
Ah.
Sorry, Metallo, but there can be only one Man of Steel.
He takes so long to beat as well. He's just very beaky.
You're gonna love the view from 6 feet under. Come on, Superman. Is that the best you've got?
Jeez. Like, how am I supposed to stop him from destroying all that? It'd be different if I could slow down time or something, if there's some type of effect like that, but basically
This fight ends
I
now.
fall victim to whatever carnage they choose to employ. Almost done.
I'm putting an end to this now, Metallo.
Man, he's annoying.
We'll find out who the real Man of Steel is.
I need a different strategy.
Did I get him? I got him. That feels good.
Give up now, Metallo.
There's something I've got to get off my chest. Kryptonite.
Jeez. That is how I feel right now. Okay. Well, as much as I would love to continue that, I do think that I have to
Got you.
get going. But next time we'll be able to defeat Metallo at his giant size. And we'll be able to save the world. I want to thank you guys for watching. You know, it's been a lot of fun, and it's been great to be able to talk about film and movies and just be able to hang out with you guys, so I really appreciate it. Please, if you enjoyed this video, give this a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel if you would like to catch any of my content going forward. But yes, thank you so much, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.